Hello everyone. We are here with Mr. Chocko Valliapa, Managing Director of Sona Group of Institutions. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good morning and good evening.
Sir, please tell us a few words about this.
Chocko Valliapa. I'm actually fortunate to be the fourth entrepreneur in 4 generations of the Sona Group. We started our journey in 1920s along with the Indian freedom movement and slowly moved into education because when we started industries, textile industries during independence, the technical talent was less, so we wanted to build our own community of technicians. So that's how Tyagaraja Polytechnic started 60 years ago. So through the journey in 1980s, we actually brought in IT to India, and we brought in Texas Instruments over. And in 97, we realized the need for higher technical education. So that's how Sona was born. And I'm basically an entrepreneur, started in textiles, moved to technology. So we are involved in US healthcare in a big way, in engineering design services, and then I have a couple of startups like Hire Me, which is meant to enable youth with jobs.
Thank you so much for your words, sir. Now let's move on to the question. So, being the Managing Director of Sona Group of Institutions, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe it?
So as a Vice Chairman of Sona, the leadership is something that is there in everybody, and the leader has to lead, but they also have to figure the leadership in the other people as a leader. Because you don't micromanage, but you lead people to where they need to go and discover themselves. So that's been my philosophy. And so being an entrepreneur and being from an entrepreneurial family, we like our people to be more entrepreneurial in their own way. So when you say entrepreneurial, it's all ownership. When you have ownership, then you have yourself in it. And that's what we try to get, the spirit of entrepreneurship with our people as well. And that's what we try to inculcate to the students as well, because it's one thing to teach people and one thing for them to learn. So that's the difference.
Thank you, sir. Now, as the Managing Director, how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your schools?
So, being an educational institution which is focused on research and things like that, so our marketing has also, we've done a lot of social media marketing and through Instagram, Facebook, so digital marketing more so in a bigger way. We've also done a last mile reach out in terms of getting students through online programs and things like that to come in and experience Sona, and also have residential programs. So, and administration-wise, we built the Sona MIS team almost over 15 years ago, and so we've been we have a kind of an evolved ERP system within us. So the MIS is extremely robust. And most of the information systems come in, be it staff appraisal or be it any of the things to get the information coming, be it research papers or how have people done or how the students progress. All of it is monitored through our own MIS, which is inbuilt in Sona, but we are also sharing it today with the larger community of educational institutions.
Thank you, sir. Now, the education systems in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can an inbound student gain from studying here in your institute?
So internationally, they have a problem of plenty. We have a problem of the opposite problem here in India. Because if you see the endowments of larger institutions, they are run into billions of dollars. And in India, unfortunately, our educational system is not liberal in terms of the government's thinking and things like that. Nowhere in the world is a higher education controlled as much as it is in India. So that's a problem we are having. So what we have done is, because at $850, which is the fee regulated by the government today, we are still producing excellent talent. So it's true value for money. So I'm again saying this for the sake of repeating it. Nowhere in the world can you get such quality education as what we are giving today in leading institutions like Sona in India. So what the student will learn is frugal engineering, because today in the world post-COVID, everyone is looking at how do I cut costs, how do I do value engineering and things like that. So the frugal engineering is something that is special to our breed of education systems today. So be it the rocket motors that you see on this side, you see the ISR of Shivam coming and seeing the rocket motors that are being built at Sona. Internationally, they used to buy it at 40 lakhs, but in India, we're producing it at 6 or 7 lakhs. So that's true rocket science at Sona.
Thank you. Now, how does the curriculum of Sona Group of Institutions ensures the best practice of industry?
So the Sona Group is fortunate to be born in an industry over 100 years. So we ourselves run industries, be it textiles, be it agriculture, be it construction, be it technology, be it healthcare, be it engineering. So we are there right through the spectrum. So we truly understand the industry's standpoint. So very often we've heard the gap between industry and academia. But at Sona, industry and academia is one together. So that's what the student will truly benefit. The fact that the industry is actually running the educational institution. So there's no gap between what you learn and what you do. So in many cases, the students get to actually work in the cases. So for example, in Sona College of Arts and Science, we have a biotech program. And the biotech program is conjointed with B Technologies, one of our group of companies. And so people start studying right from the first year onwards. And second year, they start playing with some work. And the third year, they actually do the work. So there's no gap when they go to the industry as such. And similarly, in IT programs too. So a lot of people say machine learning, AI, and things like that. So the AI and machine learning programs were actually taught by the industry at Sona. And the added fact is Tyagaraja Polytechnic, where our education is getting started, our alumni are 60 years old. So if you take a factory like Ashok Leyland, the top four people, the four top people in Ashok Leyland come from Tyagaraja Polytechnic. So they are also coming and giving back. So what I'm trying to say is our alumni are now 80 years old. So very experienced. So all those alumni are also coming back and teaching for our students.
Thank you, sir. Now, any insights into how your institute could be more welcoming to students of different races or economic backgrounds?
So we are a very, like I said, our whole philosophy of how we started along with the Indian freedom movement was to come and help society at large. So we have been, I think in 1984 or 85, Government of India started the integration program. So a lot of Arunachal Pradesh students were sent, and Sikkim students were sent to Sona to study. And we have a tradition of being very strong in Nepal. So for I think almost 12, 13 years, we've had Nepalese students coming in. And I had the pleasure of going to Kathmandu and meeting some of my old alumni. And it was very interesting to see them. They were all playing Tamil songs on the guitar and playing a music session with them. And funnily, when I asked the Nepali students what they missed most, they said the idlis in the hostel. So it's interesting to see how the cultural differences get bridged and go back. So we've been having we'd like to welcome more students across India, and we are trying to do the outreach. So we welcome students across India and across diverse cultures.
Very well put, sir. Now, what do you think your roles and responsibilities towards the institute and the students are?
I think when the parents come and for admission along with the students, which is the general tradition in India, so they say that they want them to get a good job, and not too many of them like them to be entrepreneurs, but we are trying to expose them to become entrepreneurial as well. So we have an MSME cell with an incubation center attached to that. Apart from that, we also do the job-oriented course, be it at teaching or in training, giving them soft skills, and but adding values too. So one of the unique facts of Sona is that whether be it research or you want to go excel in music or in sports, so we look at an all-round curriculum. And even the way the buildings are designed, it's designed for more collaborative friendships. So our architects often looks at places and says that we want people to sit and chat and mingle and have conversations. So to spark off some ideas or some interests in people which are latent. So we look at getting an all-round education. So that's what our focus is.
Thank you, sir. Now, what do you think should be the institute's top priority for the next 10 years?
So I think our top priorities should be, especially right now from an Indian context. We are a young country. 52% of India is less than the age of 25, and 17% of 40% of India is less than the age of 17, which is 400 million people. So these students are all coming into the higher education bandwidth. So as an institution focused on higher education, so I think our education post-COVID has to change. So we need to go, at least part of our curriculum has to be online, and we need to double our student intake. So this is what I've been prophesizing for a while. So any college which has 1,000 intake should become a 2,000 intake college, and we should have at least 30-40% offline, 30-40% experiential learning. So if you look at medical education today in India, it's one of the best. Why is it the best? Because every medical college has to have an industry attached. So otherwise they don't get a permission. So that's the same thing that the industry is, engineering education in India is lacking. They need to get co-created. The learning has to be co-created with the industry. So that's the reason why we need to have that 20-30%. Today we have internships, second year, a few weeks, and the last year we say it's a project work and then go. So that's the disconnect. So you need to have, like in Germany, so you work half, you come in and learn half. So that's the kind of learning. If you do that, whatever you learn, you actually experience. So experiential learning comes in, which we are losing here today. And so that's the key that I think in the next 10 years, I wish the education system changes, double student intake, and have more e-learning. And that's what, as a society, I feel we are responsible that we need to be giving back to the youth today, especially post-COVID, where a lot of unemployment and things like that are there. But it's also a great opportunity for India, because Make in India can truly succeed in today's world.
Very well put, sir. Now, a little personal question. When you first came to Sona Group of Institutes, what was your vision for the institute? Has it evolved over time, and how far along in that vision are you?
Yeah, I think we all grow over time. So when I came in first to Sonas, I've always been interested and passionate about technology. So I got earlier involved in e-learning, and I was fortunate that our founder chairman had selected me to go to Canada along with the Tyagaraja Polytechnic team and established a joint venture called Sona Varsity. So we set that up in pre-2000, late 90s, which was basically a CBT curriculum. And that was like where we were doing e-learning CBTs and WBDs. That's how it started. And then slowly over time, my passion for research got more involved. And I started leading the research at Sona in terms of trying to work with the researchers and push them to start getting more value from the research. And we are now happy that on our 60th year, so we have close to 60 patents that Sona has produced.
Thank you, sir. Now, what would you like to know? What would you like people to know about your institute that they might not know?
So there are a couple of things. So one is that we in a way we are handicapped because we are in a rural area of central Tamil Nadu, Salem, which is a 3-tier town. Only last year there's been a functional airport. So we are disconnected from the world as such. But in spite of that, I think we've done an outstanding job in trying to get Sona into the map of India. So I'm proud to say that, some of the things the works that we may not be known outside the world are, our research spans from aerospace, rocket motors to nanophotonics, for example. And so the nanotechnology lab is very strong. So we have actually 4 teams working on the nano side. For example, the thinnest watch in the world is produced by Titan watches, the Titan Edge watch. And Titan Edge, the plates used to be so thin, the base plate of the watch, and the tool life was super short. So they came to us, and then we've actually done a nano coating on the Titan Edge watch. So we enabled that. So that just gives you the span of the research of our 35 R&D labs. And another thing which would be good for the world to know is our link with Japan. So we are probably the largest Japanese teaching institution outside Japan in the world. People don't realize that. So there are over 1,000 students who are learning Japanese in India continuously, in Sona learning continuously. And the Japan goes from N5 to N1, and so we have our students in N1 today, and a lot of opportunities for Japan, which is opening out, especially now that Japan is looking at India more than China, and they've actually created a fund to give to companies trying to move to outside China. So we think that our students will have great potential in that.
Thank you, sir. Now, what do you see as Sona Group of Institutions' greatest strength?
Our greatest strength is how we have combined and evolved over time. And like starting off in technical education through Tyagaraja Polytechnic, moving to Sona School of Management, now the Arts College, and recently we've opened Chocko Valliapa Public School. So we've right through from a young age to the PhD, we have been able to offer. So I think our greatest strength is to try to imbibe what society wants. And if you look again, starting earlier in polytechnics, moving to engineering, moving to arts, and now to school. So that's our greatest strength, is to look at what the society needs and address the society needs. And even our researchers look at industry problems and tries to solve them. So that's what our always vision has been, to solve people's problems, and for teaching students how to solve problems. Because if you teach a person how to solve a problem, all learning becomes consequential.
Very nicely put, sir. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges you see, both for higher education in general and for Sona Group of Institutions specifically?
I think the problem, let me put it in two ways. So one is short term. So one is we're going through this Corona crisis. So the COVID crisis has hit us in a bad way. And there are different ways to look at it. So I've actually written a commentary yesterday of dissecting the politics of education between US and India. In US, the president there wants all the colleges to open up, and they're forcing colleges and schools to open up. They want to become normal faster. And in India, we have the opposite. So no institution has been allowed to go through. And but I think what we need is a hybrid approach. So we need to look at opening colleges with an A and B batch. A lot of colleges have hostels, for example, today, which are unutilized. So we can even house today, if you look at sports, you have the England-West Indies match, which is happening today. They're all being put in isolation bubbles. So we need to think out of the box. Normal thinking doesn't work today because we are not in normal times. We're in crazy times. So we have to come up with crazy ideas. So can we take students, test them for COVID, push them into the hostel for 3 months or something like that, and have a crash course of 3 months, all the laboratory courses done in 3 months, and then all the learning happens online. So you need radical approaches like this. So you test them, you isolate them, you have hostels. So in Sona today, I have 1,800 people who can stay. Maybe we not put 1,800, we put 1,200 or whatever, 1,000 people. Social distance them, test them for COVID, and actually conduct classes for 3 months, finish all the lab classes, then go for theory. And at the same time, the people studying theory comes back as next batch. So that's how you can progress, because we don't see COVID going away for the next year and a half, 1 year at least, for sure. So whoever tells you that it's going to, colleges and schools will open in September or December, the way it's going to open, it's not going to happen. Because if it happens, we'll be like, now I am in Bangalore under lockdown again, lockdown 2 or lockdown 4, whatever you call it. So that's the short-term problem. The long-term, how we need to address the education is like what I was telling you. We need to focus more on getting more students enrolled, because our population demographics are crazy. Every 1 second, a student needs a job, a youngster needs a job, because per month, India needs 1 million students in the job market. So we need to generate 12 million jobs a month, per year, 1 million a month. So that's the ramification of the problem. And as educationalists, we all need to come in and see how can we help into this national issue. So I think that's what we all should be thinking and looking for.
Thank you, sir. Now, what are some of the plans that you currently or will be designing for Sona Group of Institutions, international affairs and students?
So, like I was sharing earlier, so we have today, Sona has been fortunate to get students from 18 different countries. And so from Africa, from Middle East, and from SAARC countries. So I think the government did an initiative last year, try to do an outreach program to get more students come forward. And today, maybe fortunately, American and the UK programs are kind of floundering, right? Education is the 4th largest exporter in America. India alone spends close to, I think, $14 billion on overseas education, and $10 billion goes to American education. So 2 lakh students study in the US at $50,000, so it's $10 billion. Like the Indian students are now thinking about American education, the world is thinking about American education too. And post-COVID, it's going to be more regional. So we expect more SAARC students to come into the region, and India being ahead of the curve with educational institutions. So we expect more neighboring country students to come forward to learn more in India. And so I think that's a market that we need to tap and look for. So been having students from across Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and so we had some interesting programs of skill development from Bhutan, for example. So we actually a couple of years ago, so we have the entire Bhutanese IAS, the equivalent of the IAS from Bhutan, come to Sona School of Management and do a program for a week-long program on how on getting them trained to speed. And we also have skill development programs currently running for Bhutan students. So be it in how to cook food, or how to even make shoes, for example, because they don't have shoe manufacturing facilities in Bhutan. So they came to us and asked us if we can customize a program. And through our skill development company, Sona Yukti, we actually built a program for them for that.
Thank you, sir. Now, how do you tend to establish a healthy relationship and environment in your institute?
So I think the whole concept of being healthy is the well-being, right? So Sona is fortunate to be a green campus. So we are one of the greenest campuses in India that you can ever see. And again, the idea of thinking environment, right? So one is sick care, other is health care. So I think we are trying to teach our students how to have health care and not sick care. So sick care is hospitals and things like that. How do you become healthy inward? So one is the air that you breathe and the environment that you live in. So all our water is recycled. And then you come into even the ARI classrooms. The classrooms are all engineered for well-being. Allows natural sunlight. When you have natural sunlight, you have more vitamin D. So when you have vitamin D, you become healthy. So that's the whole thinking of aligning all the classrooms on a north-south axis, and then have more sunlight coming in. And every classroom overlooks a garden. So these are all small facets which don't see, but for the student, it's getting them to be well-being. Then we have yoga classes, for example, and wellness programs around that. Again, to get students healthy. And we have the playground, which is more than the size of many engineering colleges, because that's a true statement. Because we are in the heart of Salem, we could capitalize it for anything else, but we've kept it as a playground because that we believe is the heart of Sona, where the students can come in and excel in sports and exert themselves and become healthy. So that's the whole concept of getting people more attuned to health. And then also we work with a lot of research in terms of healthcare. So in today's world, so a lot of people are now looking at antiviral, anti-malarial fabrics. So we've developed fabrics today which prevent mosquitoes from coming if you are inside it. So now we are also developing a antiviral nano-coated masks, as in today's true need. So that's another area of healthcare. So we're looking at designing bandages which heal themselves. So it produces skin, and as the life cycle of the bandage goes, you're able to actually change the structure of the bandage. So these are all things that we are working with healthcare closely. And then we also are working on population health management. So for COVID, we've actually built our own product, which was engineered first at Sona, and then now it's called VTrace, which is a program which is meant to measure social distancing in the COVID environment. And the 4 districts, right from Hosur to Erode, we are given this free of cost to the government. And we are happy to say that during the peak COVID times, early times, we were one of the tools in which Salem truly became a green zone. So we are happy about that.
Thank you, sir. Now for the last question. Any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
I think the world is changing, and we are at a great opportunity. So if you look at every crisis, the greatest companies, the greatest people are born. So if you look at our Fortune 500 companies, which list the top 500 companies around the world, 38% of them around the world were born during the Second World War. And so today we have a crisis similar to that. So I think now is a time where people need to start looking at what we can do and how we can engineer and things like that. So we at Sona have seen this COVID situation and then people not coming to school and things like that. So we've gone completely online today. And all our classes are online. So we were fortunate in investing in technology 10 years ago for the future. So be it Blackboard in terms of lecture management system, be it the lecture capture system, or be it Hire Me, which is an app that we have developed and we reprogrammed Hire Me today to enable students to take assessments sitting at home, but which is auto-proctored. So in this comes in new facets of engineering. Industry 4.0 comes in AI. So the way we work, now we are all working from home. So we don't work in our offices. So a lot of industries, I think 30% of the workforce will now start working from home. So how do you engineer students for that? So that's the changing world. And how can we together develop a new society, a new breed of students who can be ready for this new changed world? I think that's what our mission is, and that's what our vision is. And I'm sure the future is exciting for India. In spite of all this gloom, the future looks very bright. And I'm sure our students will come in and excel and become greater citizens of India and become true citizens of the globe as well.
Thank you, sir. Very well put. Thank you so much for your time. It was really nice talking to you.